Hello, Saints. I'm going to continue talking in 1 Timothy in the 6th chapter. And one of the things he points out here, I heard this earlier today, somebody about commanding people to tithe and about how the tithe has not gone away and you should be wanting to give. And when Paul writes to Timothy here, he says, command those who are rich in this present age. And if you stop there, he's going to command them to do something. And people are like, well, he's going to command them to give their money to the poor, and he's going to command them to give to the church. He said, hey, command them to not be haughty about it. If they have money, they have money. That God gives to all who he gives it to. There are rich people in the church. There's no doubt about that. Being rich is not a sin. Desiring wealth or pursuing wealth at any cost, now that's where you get into problems. And he's saying, hey, this isn't the attitude you shouldn't have. And you'll find that a lot of scriptures, a lot of the New Testament scriptures anyway, have to deal with more of the attitude about the thing instead of the thing itself. He says, so he says to them, he says, command them not to be haughty, nor to trust in uncertain riches, but in the living God who gives us richly all things to enjoy. Let them do good, that they be rich in good works, ready to give, and willing to share. So he's saying you should be willing to share, but there's no command to give. When we look at this, when Paul writes to the church at Corinth, which in 1 Corinthians from chapter 11 to the end of the chapter has to deal with how you conduct yourself during the assembly of the saints, during the church. And when we look at that, one of the things when it comes to money, which they do have a time separated for making the collection, this is only one commandment in there. It's not about tithe or the tenth or anything like that. It has to deal with God loves a cheerful giver, to give cheerfully. And when we look at the examples, the first example obviously is the tithe. It's 10%. And then people are like, well, is it 10% of net or 10% of gross? I'm not going to sit here and make this judgment call. That's on you. And then, or 50%, or 100%. About the widow with the two mites, and she gave 100% of everything she had. And then everybody else was giving up half their wealth. So those are the only three examples you have with Christ is 10, 50, and 100%. But those are just examples. The whole point is to have a godly attitude about it, to give cheerfully, to give to a cause you believe in. And that's what God has asked out of us. Thank you.